So today's video is going to be based on a sort of situation that happened the other day in the gym where me and one of the blue belts were talking to one of our white belts, and we were kind of encouraging to consider doing a competition in the near future. Not that he has to or anything, but just that we think he would do well and he's in pretty good shape and stuff like that. But I remember him saying something like, you know, that guy over there, and he's pointing to one of the other dudes that's, I guess, around the same weight as him. And he said, that dude's like huge compared to me. I would have to be up against guys like that, right? And I shared a couple stories with him, and I'll share them with you guys as well, and also see if maybe anyone else does this at competitions. So I remember when I was a white belt, I remember there was a tournament that kind of sort of paints the picture of what I used to do. I would go into the competition, and I remember in this particular one, I was going to be in the same bracket as one of my other teammates. So we were going to be in like the under 200 weight class, and then my buddy ended up missing weight, so then there was 3 of us in the same weight class. So my coach said I was the best one, so he moved me up to the weight class above it, which was like, the cutoff was like 230 or something. And I was like super pissed about it and was angry, whatever, but it ended up being fine. But I competed against all these big dudes, like, you know, anywhere from, 15 to 30 pounds heavier than me. And I remember like when they assembled all the big guys together, I found the biggest, toughest dude that looked like a big square jaw. You know, he's just sitting there like this, like a tank. And he had that big furrowed brow, just looked mean and tough. And I was thinking to myself, oh man, I don't want to roll with that guy. He looks tough, man. And sure enough, I had that guy the second round. And I didn't have much trouble out of it, honestly. Like, he was probably one of the easier rolls I had that day. And I remember later on that day, the guy who looked like the most unassuming dude that was in the bracket was the guy that I had the finals against. Now, I ended up beating him, but he was tough. He was scrappy. And I was like, kind of like it started to make me think about that. And then I remember I was a blue belt at the time, and I remember I was at this small competition. I say small, but it was actually pretty decent size, but smaller competition relative to some of the big ones these days. You know, this is back in 2005 at the time. And I remember I was in the absolute division, and I competed, and I was winning and everything else. And then I was in the finals, and when I got to the finals, I was up against this like thin dude, really thin looking guy. And when I saw him, I kind of like, in my head, I'm looking at him thinking, I got this. You know, because he's thin, he didn't really look tough or assuming. And I get in there, I roll with him, and he puts me in a triangle like, super, super fast. And, again, it's one of those things where the looks are a little deceiving. And this is what I was telling my white belt the other day. I was like, man, like, I'm telling you right now, looks in jiu-jitsu are so deceiving because sometimes you'll see the biggest, toughest dudes, the most muscular guys, and those aren't the dudes you got to worry about. It's the dude that comes over that's like the super nerdy looking guy that's like, hey, how are you, sir? That kind of stuff that's super nice. Those are the dudes sometimes you got to watch out for. Not always the case, but in a lot of cases, sometimes it's like the dudes you're not expecting to come your way that are the people you got to worry about. So I'm just throwing it back to you guys. Have you guys had a situation like that where maybe you're at a competition and you're like scanning the room and you're like, that's the toughest looking guy, and you sort of like get worried about them, but then you end up going against like the nerdy looking dude and he like rips your head off or something like that? I'm just curious. So just throwing it back at you, just kind of a fun story to share and from the other day. And so yeah, I'll be interested to see your comments, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.